Does my body look like I ate a half pumpkin pie yesterday?
Mine does. All I did is eat cookies all weekend.
We're on.
Cookies, pumpkin pie, the festive season.
Yeah, it is. Whenever, I don't know when you're watching this, but we're filming it during
the holiday season.
The eating season.
The grazing, feeding, all the above. So
if I look like I've eaten 10 pounds of pumpkin pie.
Well, I was going to say,
I look a little bloated.
Yeah. Oh, God. All right, let's talk about making money. All right, so today we're talking about referrals. You know, everybody says build a referral network.
Get referrals.
But we just don't know how. And so what we're going to talk about today is we're going to talk about how do you build that referral network, because there's nothing worse than wanting, or just wondering, I guess, not wanting, but wondering, where's my next deal coming from? This way, if you build the proper referral network, you're basically building a machine that gives, like any other machine, machines are built to do work and create output. So let's create our referral machine so it does the work for us, and it gives output and hopefully a lot of referrals. So we're going to talk about that. John is going to, I know you brought in Rewire, which has Rewire.
There we go.
But there's a section in there that talks a lot about building that referral network, and really that's how our company grew. I would say over the last 20 years of doing this, 80 to 90% of our business was referral business, and it makes life a lot easier.
Well, we've done it most every way under the sun,
right?
And there's expensive ways like what most companies do, where you see print ads, TV ads, any sort of advertising. Our experience has been you never quite get the return you're looking for, but you always pay way more than you think you should.
Exactly.
So the traditional ways of putting an ad in or whatever that is very expensive. It's a crapshoot. You don't know what you're going to get. And there's no machine involved.
Right.
You place an ad, hope for results. Place an ad, and it's hope.
It's like a vicious cycle.
Yeah, it's hope advertising.
Right.
It's hope business plan. It's not good. So you go, all right. So how do you pair this whole? How do I get a constant stream of leads? Have a good time doing it. Kind of customize it to what I want to do. And the way we found is getting referrals. But how do you do it? So, like Chuck mentioned, I brought in Rewire, and it talks about this a lot, because the most successful way we've ever done business is referrals. And you hear that, and you go, of course, but so how exactly do you do it? And in Rewire, on page 12, it says something. If you want something you've never had, you got to do something you've never done. And one of those things, is building a referral network. And in this machine that Chuck's talking about, almost nobody builds a machine. They continue to struggle and wonder where their business is coming from next time. But if you build this system, if you step back and you go, well, how can I set it up? And there's really two pieces, maybe three. One is you got to ask for referrals, and of course you've always heard that. But we're going to go through every sort of target that we can think of this morning, and how do you get referrals out of it? And then what do you do? Because just because you're building referrals doesn't mean there's any machine involved.
Right.
So there's really two pieces to it. Three. One is you got to ask. Two is you got to kind of know what to say. And three is how do you put it in a machine so you can constantly have referrals. So one of the things that we talk about in this book is the things that you can do to quickly double your business, and who to target and what to say and how to follow up. But if you want more than double, because double is great, but double isn't great unless it keeps coming in.
Right.
So how do you do that? And this section is on page 44. It's called leaving the crowd behind. And how you leave the crowd behind is set up a system. So enough talk about it, and let's talk about doing it. Because on page 45 it talks about this was our breakthrough. Really, this is the breakthrough in business. And if you want to do something even remotely similar, man, I would recommend following the path that we already, what did they say, breaking the trail, blazing the whatever, is do this. Because this is, okay, page 46, how it works. So we're going to talk about how it works. We're going to talk about how you get these. Do we have a good pen? Like this. We use green today.
Yeah, green is good.
Yeah, green is good. So when we go out where we are, let's say this time of year, because there's a warm market.
Right.
So right now, in your warm market, you have kind of two different sorts of targets. One is a prospect, right? People that you can go to, friends, family, people that you can see over the holidays, and touch base with them about doing business. Those people, you always want to ask for referrals, right? How do you spell that? Made a lot of money off it, don't know how to spell it. Yeah, right. I guess I'd rather have the money than the spelling.
Yeah, me too.
But so how do you, so if in my warm market, Chuck, if I'm going out to, let's say I see Aunt Tilly over Christmas, and she sells sock monkeys over the internet, or she's got a little retail store, whatever the case is, it doesn't really matter. She sells them door to door in, Topeka, Kansas, or whatever.
Right.
She sells a product, she accepts cards, or should.
She's buying what we sell.
She's buying what we sell.
Right.
That's a key sort of thing. Prospects are people who buy what you sell or might buy what you sell.
Right.
Maybe she sells sock monkeys but doesn't accept cards.
Right.
It really should. So she's a prospect for those, one of those two reasons. And we want to talk to her about accepting cards. Whether she says yes or no, because she might go, I hate you, I don't want to do business with you, or absolutely, of course.
Right.
In either case, let me ask you, if she says no, I don't believe in plastic, and you go, great. You always, if she says no, you ask for a referral, right?
Absolutely.
And if she says yes, you ask for a referral, right?
Right.
So if she says no, how would you ask her for a referral?
Well, I think it depends on the reason behind the no. And I would say, I understand that accepting credit cards may not be something you're interested in doing today. I get that. But let me ask you, who do you know that does accept credit cards that would benefit from what I can do for them? Because obviously at this point, we've had a little conversation about, because holiday Aunt Tilly, what are you up to, Charlie? What are you up to? What are you doing? Here's what I'm doing, and I'm pumping up my deal. She goes, oh, I would never take credit cards in all of time. And I go, you know what? I understand. I mean, I've dealt with merchants in a similar situation, but let me ask you, who do you know that does? And then I might go, oh, where do you get your, so then I can't help it, I'm going to dig. I'm going to say, so you're making sock monkeys. How many do you sell? I find out she sells a ton of sock monkeys. I go, where do you buy your supplies? Oh, I have a supplier that sells me all the stuffing. Stuffing is us. So that was us with pumpkin pie and cookies over the weekend.
Pumpkin pie is us.
So I'm going to go, oh, okay, so how do you pay them? Oh, I pay with credit card. And then I'm going to trick her here. I'm going to go, well, let me ask you. I know that you said earlier that you didn't want to accept cards, but yet you pay with credit cards. You obviously believe in the system, right? Different call. But
nonetheless, it's a good place to go. Well, who do you do business with? Or
right.
The words that I like to use are, who do you know that would give me a listen? Because she might not know who could benefit from you. Because then you're kind of asking her to go, well, I don't know who would benefit.
Right.
But if you just go,
who do you know that'd give me a listen?
Who do you know that'd give me a listen?
Right.
Now it opens up, because even if she does or doesn't want to accept cards, because we're having the same conversation whether she says yes or no about referrals.
Right.
Well, cool. Who do you know that would give me a listen?
Right.
And she goes, well, I know, who do you know that has a business that accepts card? Oh, okay. Who do do you think they'd give me a listen? Who do you know that'd give me a listen? Not that whether I have or don't have is valuable, or whether I have is valuable or not.
And the key to here too is oftentimes they go, well, I don't really know. I mean, that this is a common thing because they don't want to get involved or they don't want to feel like it. And that's why I bring up the suppliers. Or where do you sell your product? Oh, I sell it online. Oh, who hosts your site? Who did your site? So you want to ask about who they're doing business with. And, and when you brainstorm like that, what you'll find is all of a sudden they know like 5-8 people. And when I ask them these questions, who do you know that'd give me a listen? Suppliers and that nature. I want to find the dynamics of their relationship. Oh, how do you know him? Oh, I've bought stuffing from him for years. Oh, what's his name? And then, you know what, if you don't mind, I'm just going to touch base with them, let them know that you and I spoke over a glass of spiced up eggnog. And,
but you're talking action now.
Oh, right, yeah, right. Action, you got to act. I mean, because ultimately how I view the machine is, and then we get into conversations about contact managers and where you store the data.
But
even without, I want, even if I had just little 3x5 index cards, how I started, I want a 3x5 index card on 5 people after I leave Aunt Tilly.
Yeah.
And that's 6 with her. And the next thing you know, you have this many cards, and you have this many cards, that many cards, that many cards, that many cards. And I'm filtering through all these constantly. Because, today, Aunt Tilly may think it's the worst idea ever today. But you know what? Something's going to happen a year down the road. She might go, you know what? I do need to take cards.
So who's the guy? It was Stuffings are us, right?
Stuffing is us.
Stuffing is us.
Stuffing is us.
And let's say it's Jim over at Stuffing.
Right. So here's my card. I got the guy.
So you've got it. You've got his phone number. Hey, you mind if I give him a jingle? No. Hey, you talk to Aunt Tilly. This is one of the reasons you want to act right away. Because when you call Jim over stuffings, you're going to go, hey, I was just seeing on Tilly, what'd you say, over
a glass of spicy eggnog. And I'd say that.
Yeah, heck yeah.
And he'd laugh.
That's creative contact.
It's creative
that's
contact.
Relationship, all the good things.
Right.
And it gets him to smile. Every good preacher will start off with something happy.
Exactly.
Because you know,
And
talk about a
happy.
tough sell.
Right.
But so and this guy is the same thing. So but if you wait until the 4th of July and go, hey, I just talked to Aunt Tilly over a glass of spicy, he's going to go,
it doesn't resonate.
What? He's going to go, that doesn't make sense. You want him to smile. So if you wait, it's going to be a question mark rather than a smile.
Exactly.
You want to start with a smile. I mean, this is pretty complicated stuff.
Right.
You want to start with a smile, but you want to ask who, suppliers, who do you know that can be listen, get them, act right away, and that's starting a machine without any technology.
And the art is when the conversation comes up, what you're doing, you give just a nice little 30-second, whatever, and then I'm just right into question mode. I'm asking about their business. Well, where do you sell your product? How does it work? And obviously that's the general sales stuff.
So let's get referrals from this guy.
And then I'm going to ask, let's say, Aunt Tilly's been doing business with you for 10 years. She loves your stuffing. Who else buys stuffing? I want to start quizzing this guy. And maybe he goes, oh, well, he may give me some other clients that he deals with, or he may even give me suppliers that he deals with.
Right.
And it's just you just got to keep digging.
So would you say it's the same here, whether they say yes or say
yes?
No?
It's the same. It doesn't matter. How many deals or how many accounts have we written where it was a referral from someone that we didn't write? I mean, I've written a lot of business from the initial contact that got me to why didn't buy. He said, look, I'm set, my brother does it, my cousin does it, my niece does it, whatever it is, but they've referred me to someone whom I've sold.
And what he's just saying is nobody really does this.
Right.
99.9999% of one out of 100,000 people that sell stuff is going to ask for a referral from somebody who said no.
Right.
But that's like a trick. It's like a technique. It's a method. It's a method that it's like, if you had, let's see, here are all the tricks in my deck of cards. I go, ask people who say no. Right. Because most people, if I'm talking, well, of course, you know where I'm going with this. I ask Chuck, he says no, and I go, oh. And two things will happen. I'll never ask for a referral, and I'll never follow up with him because he said no. Right. So, but have you ever said no one day and said yes? Of course. Look at the face he's going, of course. Done it all the time.
Yeah,
we do it all the time. And merchants are the same way.
That's why I like to change this no. I don't think there is a no. I think it's a not right now. It's either yes or not right now. Because, and this is certainly, we've had this conversation, different conversation, but everybody's had a service or a product that they were happy with currently, but let's say something a year down the road happens. I hate my cell phone now. Where if somebody had been staying in contact with me, they'd be the one I'd buy the new cell phone from. Right. So the trick is don't get too spun out on it. I look at it more as it's more of how much volume can I put in there of contacts. The referrals, the suppliers, and you could think of. And you really want to dig in on the supplier piece, and that one's real solid. I know I wrote a restaurant one time. The guy had a company that came in and cleaned his air ducts or vents above the grills, that have to be cleaned out. He had somebody do his linen service. He had someone with the rubber mats that he had in the kitchens had to come. I mean, there was 3 different accounts right there. Right. But you got to ask. If you don't ask, they won't offer them up because they're not thinking that.
And what would you say? Because there's a cost, business costs. It costs money to do business. Right. So what would it cost to get that referral?
0.
0. So, which is one of the reasons we talk a lot about keeping overhead low and profit high. Right. So if you've got literally no cost for that lead, which usually leads cost, if you hire somebody out of the Philippines to generate leads, you're going to pay $25, $50 a lead. Most of them are going to be junk, and you're hard pressed to get a return on investment. Or if you place an ad, or you send mail, or you do all very, very expensive, and it's like, Why would?
And you know what? If your deal is not the relationship sale, I guess that's fine if that's what you want to do, and if you have enough money to go, you know, thousands and thousands of dollars before you ever see a return on that, because that's really what's going to happen.
Right.
You know, we run under the spirit of I want to start generating. I want to be on the profit side like right away. And the best way to do that is obviously keep overhead low. And keeping overhead low is zero cost for referrals. All you have to do is ask. That's the thing. Is if you just
that's
ask,
your cost.
That's your cost.
Sometimes it's uncomfortable.
Well, sure.
Not now because we've done it 1,000. But when I was new, asking somebody for a referral, it's a little awkward. But consider that your cost of getting that lead.
Well, and you'll find too that when you start working with merchants that way and you start asking for those referrals, what you find is you start gaining respect from that merchant. They're going, okay, this person is not the normal person that came in. I brushed him off real easy and they went away. This person's got a little grit. They got some stick-to-itiveness, which means that maybe I'm more comfortable with them handling my business too. You know, so it's such a multifaceted thing. I mean, you're just, it creates kind of who you are in what you stand for in the deal. And plus, you know, you might get 5 referrals. You know what? I may not sell any of them the initial contact. That's fine. But you know what? I'm constantly combing through them. And I'm combing through them.
And that's kind of like the start of the machine, right?
Right, yep.
So you've got Aunt Tilly, you may or may not get her, but you've got the stuffings are us kind of guy. You've got her other suppliers, people that she might, whether they're suppliers, friends, people she does business with, you know, whatever, people in her, you know.
In her network, in her circle.
Right, in her network and circle. And, you know, if what are they called? Like statisticians or social network people go, what do they say? How many people do you have in your network?
What, like 150 or something?
Yeah, you have 150 like close contacts.
Right.
So and then you know one step you've got 600 contacts with people that you just kind of know, but 150 that you could invite to a wedding or a funeral. 150, 200 people. So if Aunt Tilly, she's part of my 150, right? So she's one of 150 people that I can go to see if she's a prospect or a referrer, because right now she's a prospect. We want her to be a prospect ideally, and she can be a referrer.
Right.
So you might only have maybe 10 Aunt Tillys who are prospects, but would that make the rest of the 140
referrers?
Referrers.
Everybody's a referrer.
Everybody. So let's say my dad. My dad,
and he'll never accept credit cards.
Doesn't sell sock monkeys.
Well, he's not going to accept credit cards. He's got no need to accept credit cards, but has referred a lot of business to you.
He has. He knows everybody in his little town.
Right.
And we've brought on a lot of business because of that. And also, let's say this friend of his, who's now a merchant of ours, also then we ask for referrals. Hey, who do you know that would give me a listen?
Right.
Who do you know would give me a listen? Then we got referrals off that and referrals off that.
Right.
And it's just...
This really kind of brings, it really brings on a life of its own when you do it this way.
It's viral.
It is viral. And what you'll find is I've seen people that have come in and maybe they're maybe earlier than the game than I am today. And they didn't have 150, but they had, 50 people in their list that, and none of them were merchants. They didn't know any merchants. They go, look, I'm a younger guy. I'm starting out. I shop at Target and Walmart and in the big chain stores. I don't know anybody. But in their list, in their list, they had 50 friends. Right. This was a guy I went to school with. This is a guy I used to work with at MCI. This is a guy, whatever it was. And what they found is by going to their 50, all of a sudden their 50 spun out 15 referrals for them. Exactly. People that they knew. And then, so your 50 spins out 15 of these things, and guess what? Each one of those 15 spits out 2 more. Now you're at 45. So and understand, I get it. I totally get it, because I'm one of these, I'm impatient. I like to make things happen right away. And it will at this pace, and it might trickle, like in this scenario, in this exact scenario with this guy that came into the team, it was a trickle. It was a trickle for the first 4 or 5 months, but man, he never gave up on it. He never gave up. He kept asking for referrals. Then all of a sudden he's doing 3 to 5 deals a month. He's going, man, I can really see this thing bringing on a life. And then he started doing 7 to 10 deals a month. And then he'd have a month, he'd hit 15, he'd be back at 10. And he kept growing his portfolio because he kept doing that. He kept asking for the referral. He tracked the data. He put it in, constantly followed up. And then it was interesting in that scenario, what happened is that he would say, geez, someone I talked to a year and a half ago called me out of the blue and said, are you still doing that? Because I'm unhappy with my current relationship, or our terminal died. And he started what I call like backfilling. And what I mean by that is, granted, he was pushing forward, always searching for new referrals, but then the fruits of his labor started paying off because people that he spoke to years ago were coming in behind him, and he's still in the business because he did it right.
Right.
And he's got like in this industry, and he was writing people that he hadn't spoken to. Well, he did with Creative Contact, but he hadn't talked really shop or business with them in over a year.
Right. And that's one of the things that most people also never do is have a machine.
Right.
A machine doesn't have to be, I mean, a machine can be a shovel.
Yeah,
right?
right.
I mean, it's going to be easier than digging by hand.
Mm-hmm.
So machine, you can use the old, like Chuck was talking about, the index cards,
right,
which are great. And you just have to look at filing system. That's also in the book, where you can use Connect. Either way, you at some point the filing system, you have so many. You've got 1,000 of these people and it's easy to have 1,000. You know, if you've got 150 that even give you, how many would that be? 6 would be 900.
Right.
You know, very quickly, you can have over 1,000 cards in this thing, and you just continue to. But that's like the key. You don't have to be a maniacal madman behind a computer and know databases.
Right.
But if you can use index cards and some sort of circulating file that's also in the book, you can do this, and it builds. And then at some point, you're probably going to want to shift into the machine.
Well, you have to, because it just becomes unmanageable.
Right,
it becomes so much. But
so let me ask you. So let's say that I was frozen for 100 years.
Yeah, just came out of your coma.
I just came out of my coma. I just fell off another planet, and I land in this country, and I have no friends. DS.
Yeah, no friends.
Again, here's 12 friends. Everybody, I have to go out cold.
And we've seen this too. We've seen guys do this. We had a guy in Texas one time years ago that did this, and he was a master at it, and he did a great job. And what he did is he stuck to initially a particular industry, a particular vertical market that he knew well from past experiences that he had, and he went to this market. So, like veterinary clinics or dental offices, or maybe you had experience in dealing with funeral homes, or something of that nature. So
let's say I like scuba.
Or you like scuba, right. Because you like scuba, you can talk the language, you can get in there, you can schmooze with them, and that makes the rapport side easier. So let's use this as an example, and that's not what he did, but let's say you go to every scuba market that you can possibly within a 100-mile radius of yourself, and same thing applies. You may not be ready today, scuba owner, but let me ask you, who do you know that would just give me a listen? You know, we've talked diving in the Caribbean, we've talked, diving in Hawaii, wherever. So who do you know that would give me a listen? So even if I get one or two.
So let's say there might be other scuba shops.
Other scuba shops, they have suppliers, just like everything else. They have suppliers, they have people that they're...
Do they have friends?
They have friends. And how many times have you seen where you go to the scuba shop, guy goes, look, man, I'm sad. And he's hard. He's like, nope. But you know what's funny that you just came in? A buddy of mine was just complaining this weekend that he's got issues with his company. Maybe you want to give him a jingle.
Or you could even say, I know a lot of guys are, but some guys, as you know, don't like their service provider. Who do you know? I mean, everybody's complaining about them.
Right.
Who do you know that might give me a listen? Because if you have to ask them, you almost have to load their lips.
Right.
Because they'll go, I don't know, no, I'm busy, so go away. And most people will go, I'm gone, I'll go away.
Right.
But if you go, I know. And this is like your payment. Instead of having to buy leads,
right.
Here's where sweat equity comes in.
Right.
You ask for, I understand. A lot of people, but I've found too when I ask a guy, I go, well, who do you know? Because not everybody's satisfied. You've got to hang around with other buddies that that have said, man, or who do you know that just give me a listen?
Right.
And they go, well, I don't know.
Or who's the guy that owns a tire shop next door?
Right.
Who's that?
Neighbors.
What's his name? What do you know about the guy? Because I'm not going to go in and say you told me to come over there, but just you find a.
Well, this is one that Chad, one of the who's been here a long time, agent director, loves this method right here.
Yeah, that's what he'll do. If he goes out to a particular client, what he'll do is he'll really pay attention of what's around this client when he's going in there, and he'll ask questions about other merchants in the community. Oh, hey, who owns that new donut shop down there? As you can see, I had a lot of donuts. Who owns that donut shop? I'm Chad now. No, I'm kidding. So who owns that donut shop? Oh, that's so and so. Oh, no kidding. How long they been in business? Oh, no kidding. So he has a little depth when he walks in there,
right?
And it's all just, it just keeps adding to this. It is amazing how when you do it this way, how you wake up one day and you go, oh my God, I got a list of 1,000 prospects. And think about it, 1,000. Just by virtue of, let's say that it just stopped at 1,000. Let's just say that for argument's sake. Even if I comb through that 1,000 every year, I just kept combing through on some sort of, some schedule. And you can talk about that depending on the conversations you have with them. Just the law of averages tell you, you're going to probably write 3 to 5% of those just by natural follow-up.
Well, and if you touch base with everybody twice a month, and let's say there are 200 business days, let's make the math easier. 200 business days in
Twice a year.
So that means every 100 business days you're going through 1,000. That's 10 people every day that you have to follow up with that are prospects. And what if you actually ask them, you're probably going to get out of those 10 people, how many referrals do you think you're going to get? If you ask 10 people this question, and this is the second time you talk to them.
And if it's on the phone, out of 10, I'm probably realistically going to get 5.
Okay, and I was thinking the same number.
Yeah.
So you're going to get 5. So now you've got 5.
Five more. Every 10, I got 5. So I got 500 more people at the end of the year by doing this. Because you're going to have, because what you got to understand is a lot of people, you can't build the trust enough with them the first visit. But after 3 or 4 calls to them, they finally go, you know what? This person is someone who's going to be around. I'm comfortable. Maybe I'm not quite comfortable yet to give them my business, but you know what? I did hear my buddy that was, pissed off, or I know this new store's opening, or this guy's having a problem with this. And you just got to keep growing. And you know what? That's a stick-to-itiveness. That's a patience to understand this thing is gelling. It is gelling, because I can't tell you how many times we see people, they do this perfectly up to a certain point, and they go, oh, it just doesn't work. And it's like, no, dude, it's working. It's working. And you have to be realistic. When I'm growing this, I understand I'm not going to go, John wrote 20-something accounts a month. I wrote 30 accounts a month using this method. And I didn't write 30 accounts a month 1. I mean, I grew into it. First month I wrote 2 or 3 accounts, kind of started getting the lay of the land. Then it was 5, 7 accounts, and it was like, oh, okay. Then you're growing. Then you hit plateaus. You hit 10. You go, okay. How? Then you have to change some things. Then you break through 10. And then you break through 15. You break through 20. And you figure out little systems to work. But every time it was this. This was the system.
Well, and you talk about how fast do you want to go. In Rewire too, we talk about being in building mode. Right. If you're in building mode, if you're just launching, if you're building, it will go as fast as you make it go.
For sure.
So in the book we talk about 20 to 35 new contacts every day. I mean, meaningful conversations. They're literally called meaningful. Mm-hmm. It's not just how many times I dial the phone or how many doors I knock on or whatever. 20 to 35 meaningful conversation with friends or cold folks where you're actually having a conversation. Or any of these things. 20 to 35 meaningful conversations. And what you find is that most people want a lot. Right. Like you want to achieve a lot in life, the camera guy wants a lot in life. Everybody wants. But the trick is they'll pick up the phone 3 times a day or talk to 3, and it's like that's not enough. It's like if you want to get a rocket off the ground and you put a squirt of fuel into it, it's not going. So it's doing the right things, but doing the right things at the amount that you can get it off the ground. Well,
and I think that's a great analogy, and we always use the analogy here. It's just like getting a plane off the ground.
Yeah.
You use a majority of your fuel when you're getting off the ground. Because once you're off the ground, it takes a lot less energy. Because you're
once
going.
This is built,
it's going.
If you're doing this every day for a year, you've just had 4,000 meaningful. You know what that kind of business that builds for you? That gets you flying.
Right.
And the thing is, you don't have to stretch this out over 40 years. You can do this 5, 7 years. And you probably don't, then you're just probably going to cruise.
Right, then you're coasting. You really are. Coasting is a bad term. You're cruising.
Okay, you're working 20%.
Yeah, you're working 20%, but you're writing the amount of business is, or let's say, generating the kind of revenue of someone that's working 100%.
Exactly.
See, that's the art of this deal. And
That is the art of the deal. That's
work the referral system, be patient, work it. And patience is not mean like laid back patience. Patience is like, I understand these things have to unfold. It has to gel together.
I'd call that faith.
Yeah, have a little faith in it and just keep getting the referrals, keep putting them in your system, keep creative contact, constantly work on getting more. Because you know what? I don't want a cold call. I really don't. I haven't, nor will I ever do that. I just have no interest whatsoever. And I know it's not about what I want, but and I'm sure most people don't want a cold call, right? But you know, build it, get it off the ground so you can work at that 20% level, but earn income like someone who's working 100% of the time.
Exactly right.
All right. Excellent.
Glad you're here. We'll see you next time.
Thank you. See you next time.
Okay, we're clear.
Clear.